this real quick. Always got to move this camera around depending on like the format and the location. I'm in the room today. But welcome, guys. Today is February 25th, 2025. Excited to be back again. Today's topic is going to be covering creating daily schedules for music makers. Something that I have adopted over the past, probably really over the past 5 years, I'd say, since around 2020, probably late 2019 into 2020, when I kind of started finding my footing with, social media and putting myself out there, branding myself, and just creating an overall aesthetic for my music, which I think has gotten a lot better over the past few years. I think, anytime you start out, it's kind of hard to do. But, all that aside, I kind of started focusing on schedules around that time. And I've kind of just never looked back since. And I've been able to, incorporate that into my daily life, even outside of music, just the overall muscle memory and the habits I built from being able to do that have been super vital for me in different aspects of life. And it's allowed me to have a lot more balance, which I think is something that we all look for, something that we all kind of look to achieve in the best way possible, even though, things can't always be perfect, but we do our best, and we put our best foot forward, and that's all we can ask for. So I thought that, getting to cover this would be very important for a lot of people, especially those that are looking to kind of take 2025 to the next level in some type of way, or just incorporate some new tactics into your own schedule creating process. So again, a few articles I found. I got 3 for you this week. One by UJAM, one by Vocal Media, and the other is an ASCAP article. I think we're going to cover, the one I want to cover today is the Vocal Media one, because it kind of gives a nice little summary of, doing this as a music maker. It's called Music by the Clock, Designing a Daily Routine for Creatives. And this was written 3 months ago. So it's relatively short, or not relatively short. The article is relatively short because I'm reading, it says 4-minute read. So it's relatively short. We'll kind of talk about things in between, of course. But it's relatively new is what I was trying to say. So it's from the end of last year. It says creativity flourishes best within structure, a truth that may seem counterintuitive to many artists. For musicians, the balance between discipline and creativity is essential to consistently producing quality work. Building a daily routine is one of the most effective ways to achieve this balance, especially when your goal is to learn how to use your time to create music effectively. It kind of starts out with the kind of just building that mentality of, like it says, a lot of people think that when you have discipline, you have no time for anything else. But it's actually the opposite, whereas you build up the discipline, and then because you have the discipline, you create more freedom and more time for yourself, whether it's free time or time to just, devote to other things, other aspects of life. So it's something, I think it's a mindset thing you just have to kind of get to before anything else. You know what I mean? And it is hard. And sometimes it's hard to even remind ourselves that that is the case. But again, I feel like the more you do it, it becomes a lot easier. And then you realize like, wow, the things that took me so long before, or that I thought I needed, hours to do, I can do them a lot more efficiently. And I also have a lot more free time just in general. So a well-planned daily routine not only helps you allocate specific time for songwriting, practice, or production, but it also reduces the mental clutter of figuring out what to do or what to work on each day. This article will explore how you can design a personalized schedule that aligns with your creative flow while leaving room for experimentation. Whether you're a morning bird or night owl, these strategies will help you carve out productive hours for your musical passion. Additionally, platforms like Deliver My Tune can support your journey by offering insights into music distribution and growth. So we're going to go through 9 different steps that they give that are all very key elements to crafting these daily schedules. The number one thing, understanding the power of routine. A routine gives structure to your day, allowing you to focus your energy on what truly matters. For musicians, this means setting aside time for creative tasks like writing lyrics, practicing instruments, or experimenting with production techniques. Without a routine, it's easy for distractions or procrastination to take over. By dedicating regular time slots to music creation, you train your brain to associate those periods with productivity. Over time, this consistency leads to greater output and a more refined creative process. So for me, as far as the creating side goes, let's just say on the music side, not even anything else, because I create a lot of things, but as far as music goes, it's kind of evolved over the years for me. Nowadays, I'd say in the last year or so, it's really been the morning is when I create the most. I'm not really creating a lot of music at night or even in the afternoon. Like sometimes I'll make a beat, maybe in the afternoon if I have time and I have nothing else going on. Maybe I'll do that, but I've found that I am most productive when I wake up early in the morning and I'm ready to go and I can just sit down and create something. And even if it's not a full idea, it's something that kind of gets me going, gets the day started. So that's usually at the top of my to-do list is, create a beat or an idea. So that's what I do. And that might change eventually too. Maybe it'll shift to a different time of day. You have to kind of work around your schedule. Like if you have a job or anything, you kind of have to work around that too. But if you can carve out that time every day and just set it aside, it becomes, like I said earlier, it becomes easier to be able to do it once you've kind of built up that muscle memory. So for me, that's where I'm at currently. I create in the morning. But again, if you're a night owl, maybe you create at 2 in the morning or midnight or whatever, whatever time that you feel the most energized to be able to do that. Number 2, assess your daily rhythm. Not all hours of the day are equally productive. Some people are most creative in the early morning when their minds are fresh, while others find their groove late at night. To design an effective routine, track your energy levels throughout the day for a week. Note when you feel most focused and inspired. Schedule your most challenging or creative music tasks during these peak periods. For instance, if your mornings are your creative sweet spot, reserve them for writing lyrics or composing melodies. Save less demanding tasks like editing or organizing files for low energy hours. So again, that's kind of touching on what I just mentioned, which is for certain people, the morning is better. For other people, maybe the evening's better, or maybe in between, somewhere in the afternoon or something like that. But just figuring out what works for you, because this is for you as an individual. Everybody has their own tendencies and their own way of, constructing these types of schedules. So you got to ask yourself these questions, and you got to do a little bit of experimentation to see what works. And it'll take you probably a few months, if not a year or so, to really find the sweet spot of what works for you. And like I said before, it's going to change too. It's never going to stay the same for more than probably a year, maybe 2 years if you're lucky. But for the most part, life is always changing. So your schedule is always going to have to change and kind of adapt a little bit as well. So just keep that in mind. Number 3, break your day into blocks. Time blocking is a powerful technique for managing your schedule. Divide your day into dedicated blocks for different tasks. The morning block, start with warm-up exercises such as practicing scales or vocal runs. Midday block. Focus on composing or recording new material. Evening block. Review and refine your work or experiment with new sounds. Time blocking ensures you allocate sufficient time to all aspects of music creation without feeling overwhelmed. I don't really time block a ton. It kind of just depends on like you as the individual. If that works for you, you could definitely try it out. And I think you almost have to make multiple to-do lists for each block at that point. I kind of have one big to-do list for the whole day, and then I just knock it off one by one. The time isn't really always a big factor, but for some people, it definitely helps a lot to be able to do that and keep track of everything too. If you break it down like that, I imagine keeping track of what is most important is probably easier when you're able to do that. So, yeah, definitely take a look at that if it sounds interesting to you. Include rest and reflection. A good routine isn't just about work, it's also about rest and reflection. Overworking can lead to burnout, stifling your creativity. Incorporate short breaks between sessions to recharge your mind. Techniques like the Pomodoro method, working for 25 minutes, followed by a 5-minute break, can help maintain focus. At the end of each day, spend 10 to 15 minutes reflecting on your progress. Did you achieve your goals? What went well and what could improve? What will you focus on tomorrow? This practice not only helps you track your growth, but also keeps you motivated. I do this myself. It's kind of more sporadic and random. It's not always like a set hour or 45 minutes. Sometimes it's just like, okay, I've worked on this for a while, it feels like. So I'm going to go drink some water, use the bathroom, check my phone, whatever it is. And then I come back to it, and just keep going. But it's just about giving yourself the grace to take the breaks, which you should always do. It's really easy to lose track of time when you're in that creative flow and the creative state. So I get it. Like if you miss a certain amount of time, don't feel bad about it. But I think it's just about giving yourself permission to say, hey, it's okay to step away for a minute. Drinking water is a huge thing. I'm just going to say that. Like, drink water, eat food, whatever you got to do. Because that stuff affects you too. You got to make sure that you're treating your body correctly. Especially if you're sitting in front of a computer all day. Like, that's not healthy at all. Go take a walk. Go do whatever you got to do. And then you can come back to it. The work is not going anywhere. And I think we got to remind ourselves of that too. Because that can be you can almost get into a toxic mindset if you're just all about the work 24/7. Like, you're not going to be very effective when you're in that mentality, just straight up. So, number 5, prioritize key tasks each day. Not all tasks are equally important. Start each day by identifying your top 3 music-related priorities. These could include writing a new verse, practicing a specific technique, editing a track for an upcoming release. Focusing on your priorities ensures that even if the day gets busy, you still make meaningful progress toward your music goal. This is more my form of scheduling. I have pretty much a bulleted list of, I wouldn't say it's in complete order, but it's usually like the most important things kind of go at the top. The first 2 or 3 for sure. And then if I can knock those off, I feel pretty good about where we're headed for the day. Then I can get to everything else. So I do tend to fall into this category where I'm putting the most important things toward the top. And then the further down we go, it's not as important, but it's things that do need done in the day. But like I said, if I can get those first couple knocked off, if you do the first few important things to begin with, as early as you can, then the rest of it kind of goes a lot smoother, I've found at least. So keep that in mind if that's something you wanna pursue. Number 6, mix creativity with learning. A well-rounded routine includes time for both creation and skill development. Dedicate a portion of your day to learning something new, such as watching tutorials on music production, studying the theory behind different musical styles, practicing with new software or equipment. Balancing creativity and learning ensures steady growth as a musician. The thing I've been doing probably for the last year or so is definitely listening to more podcasts during the day while I'm making lunch, or maybe I'm in between stuff. Maybe I'm, packaging up vinyls to ship out. Like whatever I'm doing that allows me to, listen to anything else other than music for a little bit. I'm usually listening to an interview or some type of anything to kind of feed the creative brain is really what I'm trying to go for. So that's what I've been doing. And I still watch a lot of YouTube videos, tutorials, things like that whenever I'm able to. So yeah, it definitely helps. So I'd say definitely technical stuff, but also just inspirational stuff. Like if you can just find interviews or even if it's not music related, just anything that you can draw inspiration from, I view that as a positive thing that ultimately will help you out in your creative life as well. So keep that in mind. I think that's something that you should definitely look into if you're kind of into it, or even if you're not, just kind of experiment with that and see what comes out of it. So I think nothing but positive things can come out of it as long as you are listening to content that will serve you. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. 7, incorporate collaboration. If your schedule allows, set aside time to collaborate with other musicians. Working with others can introduce fresh perspectives and push you to explore new ideas. Collaboration can be as simple as jamming with friends in person, sending a demo to a fellow artist for feedback, participating in online music challenges or forums. And obviously last week we did our collaborating remotely workshop. We talked about how important collaboration is. And again, not only do you not have to be in person, but there's just many different ways to collaborate. You can send things to someone around the world if you want to work with them. So there's a lot of different ways to collaborate, and it's something I've been trying to do a lot more of recently, especially with other producers. I'm trying to work with more producers this year, collaborate with people that are honestly have a more diverse skill set than my own, because I think that's important to be able to team up with people that can kind of almost fill in the gaps where you might not be the best at. So I'm looking for instrumentalists, all kinds of people to work with. So something I keep dipping into as well, and it's very important to keep trying to collaborate with people, but just make sure you're collaborating with the right people, which I've said many times. Number 8, adjust as needed. Life is unpredictable, and your routine won't always go as planned. Be flexible and willing to adapt. If a particular schedule isn't working, tweak it. The goal is to create a routine that supports your creativity, no one that feels restrictive. Again, that's kind of a summary of what I've been talking about this whole time. Just be open to the changes, which is hard to do because we all like to get set on something and just run with it. But sometimes we have to do that because life is just being life, So you gotta adapt, you gotta figure out how to make it work. And the final one is number 9, use technology to stay on track. Apps and tools can help you manage your routine more effectively. Google Calendar for scheduling your release. Trello for organizing music projects. Focus Booster for implementing the Pomodoro technique. By integrating technology, you can streamline your workflow and stay focused on your goals. Definitely feel free to research all of those. I use Google Calendar on occasion, and we've talked about, again, a few weeks ago, we did the best music apps of 2025. We talked about some of these, not all of them. Different tools to help you stay organized. There's so many. so many to name. So just do your research on those. But yeah, definitely utilize technology. Like we've said, it's there to assist, it's there to help. Utilize it to its full capabilities if you can. Just figure out what tools work for you and go for it. And even some of the ones that are paid, I'd say they're worth investing in for your peace of mind. If it's X amount per month, let's say it's $15 a month to be more organized, why not? Like, it's worth, your sanity a little bit to stay organized, stay on top of what you're doing as a creative if you really care about it. So do your research and see what you can find. Conclusion: designing a daily routine tailored to your creative process is one of the most effective ways to master how to use your time to create music by understanding your natural rhythms, prioritizing key tasks, and balancing creativity with learning. You can make consistent progress while avoiding burnout. Remember, your routine doesn't have to be rigid. It should evolve with your needs and lifestyle. Start by implementing one or two of the strategies outlined here and build from there. With time, your routine will become a powerful tool for productivity and inspiration. For more insights into advancing your career, explore platforms such as Deliver My Tune, which I'm assuming is related to their company. I'm not really sure. So Vocal Media might make this platform or be sponsoring this platform. That's probably why they're mentioning it. It says they provide valuable resources to help independent artists succeed in the ever-changing industry. So that is that. And that's pretty much just what I wanted to cover. Like I said, the other two articles are pretty nice too. There's a UJAM article. It's called How to Create a Professional Music Production Schedule. That's mostly for producers, but it can also apply to artists, songwriters, engineers. It doesn't really matter. And then the other one is by ASCAP from their blog. It's called Wellness Time Management for Creatives. So I'll leave all those in the YouTube description on the replay. Check them all out. I just thought that Vocal Media one was the best. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back this time next week. March 4th, we'll be talking about avoiding burnout. This was a short one today, but like I said, check out the YouTube replay. And thanks for tuning in. Have a great week. Stay safe. Stay positive. We'll see you next week, guys. Take care.